Hey there, it's your girl Yolanda Yo Winston, and it is Feature Friday, you guys. I'm so excited to introduce Mr. Greg Perkins of CSSI. I always want to say CCIS. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I am so happy to have him here to explain to us what cost segregation is and the benefits of cost segregation. So we're going to start off with who. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, be glad to. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm a former banker. Don't hold that against me. But I've been doing cost segregation for 14 years full time. I was a loan officer, so this was a natural transition for me with contacts with tax professionals and property owners that were clients of mine. And so that's my background is finance, and I've been doing this 14 years, the best thing I've ever done work-wise, and I look forward to sharing the benefits of this with you.
Okay, well, you already answered one of my questions, which was what did you do before getting into cost segregation? So you were in banking, so that makes sense, a natural transition, still dealing with finance.
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you enjoy most about your job or your career?
My clients are always happy. I used to have a son-in-law that was in the transmission business, and even if he did a good job for somebody, they weren't happy their transmission had gone out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping people defer. We use the word save, but the right word would be defer income tax. So I help people create cash flow, and so my clients are always happy. And so that's a benefit of what I do.
Right, because you're actually saving them some money. You're assisting them in a time where they're already happy. I can relate to that. I worked at a property restoration company. And so every client was in distress. Every person that called the phone was in distress. And that made me really realize that aspect of a career. It's like, okay, I'm never getting into a job where people reason to call me is because they have a real issue. That was very stressful.
The ownership of our company is Christian based, which I appreciate, and so I really feel like I'm providing a good service to people.
Exactly.
And so as a Christian, you want to love other people and you want to provide a service. So that's what we do.
Okay. So I'll ask, what do you love most about serving the Huntsville community?
Well, again, I would say bringing a service to the community that a lot of people don't know about. Even some tax professionals. That's not as true now as when I started, but a lot of property owners are just finding out about it, and there's some misunderstandings of it. But just bringing the income tax benefit, I've had people that said, "Man, this sounds good. I want to do it," and they're not even paying income taxes. It sounds good to them. Or their accountant says, "Hey, my client, they may like the way this sounds, but they hadn't made money in the last several years." So,
they understand the benefit, they just can't benefit from it.
So the key for this is, can somebody use that benefit? Mathematically, pretty much every building that I look at, with some exceptions, but pretty much everyone mathematically can benefit if they can use the benefit.
Right.
And so that's one of the key features of this.
Okay, so let's get into that. Can you explain, so why this is important, why we chose to do Feature Friday is to show the benefit to agents and also show the benefit of cost segregation to buyers. So can you explain to them what is cost segregation?
Yeah. So I'm in the source document business for property owners that own property and for tax professionals that are wanting to do the very best depreciation schedule for their client. And so we break out the components. We quantify and identify the components of a building that can be written off in a shorter time frame than the typical 39 years for a commercial property or 27 and a half years for a residential property. So we do this from an engineering-based methodology. I'm not one of those, but we have engineers that will break that property down, and so some portion of that will be shorter life, and if it qualifies for shorter life, then under today's current economic scenario of accounting, it also qualifies for bonus depreciation, so it just exacerbates the fact that we're trying to write off a portion of the building faster.
Right. So we're gonna get into some accounting terminology. Don't leave us.
Yeah.
Just understand that cost segregation is something that you benefit from on a tax saving aspect. So this is something that you definitely would have your accountant be a part of this conversation.
Very much so.
Yeah, and so of course when Greg started talking about cost segregation, the accountant nerd in me got really excited. So here we are again. But that's the biggest thing. So I know me personally, every chance I got, I thought, okay, can this person benefit from cost segregation? I called Greg about people that were selling stuff, that wanted to lease stuff. And it really took me a couple times to understand that the cost segregation is going to be of a benefit for someone that is purchasing a property or that has recently purchased a property and you're now trying to write that off. You're trying to expedite that.
Very, very much so. And so it can work for a brand new property that's been purchased or built. It also can work as a catch-up for properties that have been owned, I know for sure, 15 years or less.
Oh.
So there's a catch-up there. So from a realtor standpoint, if their clients have more cash flow available, then they have more money available for debt service coverage to get them financed, for working capital to make improvements to the property that maybe need to be made for it to be rentable, or more money available to purchase other properties, which would facilitate your core business. The thing I was thinking about driving over today is with the current rate scenario for real estate, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I'm gonna say that the selling of properties in 2023 right now is not as robust as it was earlier in the year or in 2022. And so if I were a realtor, I would be looking for other things that I could do for past clients that I've dealt with. So I would go back to my book of business and say, I've learned about something new that might benefit you from an income tax standpoint. And while they're there, they may find out that client has said, gosh, I hadn't heard from you for 7 years, but I've been meaning to call you because I need to do an addition to my property, or I need to buy another property or whatever. So it gives you another touch with the client.
Yeah, so I love that as an agent. This is an extra benefit to our clients, and what makes us, if you choose to use this type of service, stand out amongst our competition is I'm coming to my client automatically with a service that's going to help them on their tax side. And as Greg mentioned, now that money that they would possibly pay in income tax, they can now use to improve the building or maybe purchase something else.
And there can be some ancillary income, and that will vary from firm to firm. But I'm glad to do revenue sharing on engaged referrals. So during this time of slowed down selling, this is another ancillary income.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't catch it, as agents, you do get, there is some benefits to you giving this service or suggesting the service to your client. So one of the things is, what type of businesses or properties benefit most from cost segregation?
Okay. Well, pretty much any commercial property. We do office buildings, we do warehouses, we do self-storage, we do retail, we do restaurants. I have a niche with funeral homes, and I know that sounds weird, and there's a reason for that, but I've done 170 something funeral homes.
Oh, wow.
I've done 1,158 projects. My company's done over 40,000, but I've done 1,158, and a lot of those are funeral homes, 170 something are funeral homes.
Wow.
But hotels do well, restaurants do well. Now you've got, of course, apartments and condos at the beach or in the mountains, but now you've got people looking at Airbnbs for short-term rentals. They have some different classification than long-term rentals that might benefit somebody as an investment property that needs excess deductions to offset their earned income, because most rental properties are passive and don't mix well with your active income. But there is some exceptions for real estate professionals like yourself, or for people that are hands-on with properties that rent for 7 days or less. We won't get in the
Gotcha.
weeds of that, but a lot of people are doing Airbnbs now.
Okay. Yeah, the whole point is we want you all to understand what cost segregation is. It is something that you can utilize to help speed up the depreciation of real property, and that it is a benefit to the agent and to our purchasers. It is a great way to stay in contact with previous clients, and it's just a great service to provide overall. So how would someone go about starting, besides them contacting a real estate agent that they're possibly working with? If we just have someone watching and they don't like their previous real estate agent, but they want to take advantage of cost segregation, how would they go about starting the process of that?
Yeah. So if it's an existing property, they already have a depreciation schedule called a tax asset detail depreciation schedule. And with that form, that tells us how it's currently being depreciated. And then we would run a free quantitative analysis. It's a 10-page analysis. You've seen one that would give them a purposely conservative estimate of what the benefit could be, but he also quotes them a fee that if they wish to move forward, this would be the fee. And the fee in relationship to the benefit is always bringing a nice ROI.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't expect the client to do it. So all this is pretty much compelling. It takes no salesmanship on my part, and I really don't want to use that. It either makes sense for somebody or not. Am I willing to spend X to get X plus?
Mm-hmm.
And so just to clarify exactly what we do, if you could pictorially look at this, most properties are depreciated on one line as building, 39 years if commercial, 27 and a half years if residential, long-term residential. When we get through, there might be 35 or 50 lines of amounts that add up to what that one building was,
Mm-hmm.
but breaks that property down into components, puts an amount specific on each component, and tells the owner and the tax professional, this is a 5-year item, this is a 15-year item, this is QIP, this is your true 39-year property that we can't change.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the essence of what we do in providing this source document. So be glad to run a free analysis. You have no obligation. There's no pressure from me. It's either going to make sense or it's not.
Right. You make perfect segue into what I want to talk about next. Okay. Because I was going to mention that agents, when you have a listing, first of all, I want to say that Greg gave me and the Nowcom rookies some nuggets on how to use cost segregation as a negotiating tool, but I'm not going to share it with you on camera. Okay. If you want those tips, you'll have to contact Greg or myself in order to understand how you can use this during your negotiation and how you can help. But I wanted to mention that when you get a listing, there is of no fee for you to contact Greg, so you can really understand what type of benefits the buyer would be able to have with this. And like I said, it's a little something for you to have in your back pocket. And if you want to learn when and how to pull it out and slam it on the table like you're playing spades.
That's your trump card.
That's your trump card. Yeah, poker, blackjack, black deuce, whatever you play, then you contact us. So in closing, is there anything that we haven't talked about or mentioned that you think would be important for an agent or an investor or business owner that owns the property that they should know?
Yeah. And again, without getting too deep in the weeds, cost segregation is our core service, but we have other services. And so one that I'd like for you to know about, just big picture, is if you've got a client that's done improvements to their property,
I forgot about
that have disposed of portions of their property. So they've torn out HVAC, or they've torn out flooring, or they've torn out, they've repaved a parking lot or whatever. There are some benefits in what gets thrown in the trash, especially if they've owned the property at least for one tax season. So that's called partial disposition.
Yeah.
And then if it's a commercial property, this would not apply to a residential property, but for a non-residential property, a commercial property, if they've done interior improvements to that property, with a few exceptions, like an escalator, an elevator, load-bearing walls, or expanded square footage, most of everything they do internally will qualify for qualified improvement property.
Okay.
And under the CARES Act, it got 15-year treatment. It got corrected to 15-year treatment. Thus, it qualifies for bonus depreciation. So QIP, qualified improvement property, can be very, very beneficial in addition to cost segregation.
Okay.
So those are a couple of things. If you've got a property that's had some improvements, or they're disposing of a portion of the building, you ought to talk to Yo or myself and let us bring you up to speed on that.
Yep. So that's the end of Feature Friday. If you guys have any questions or you want more information on something that we talked about, leave a comment in below, or you can email either one of us. My email address is yo@yowinrealty.com. I tried to make it easy.
Oh, yeah. Mine, unfortunately, is not that easy. But it's long, but it's fairly easy. It's my first name, Greg, Greg, at Cost Segregation Services with an S on the end of it, .com.
All right.
And my number is 256-683-3397. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're
God bless you
welcome.
and your guests.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and just the energy and knowledge that you've poured into Nowcom and Rookies. We really, really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Yay. So we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.